What should you say to a pastor that's still smoking and drinking and cussing from the pulpit? We're going to talk about that next on Pastor Bob's Coffee Break.
Somebody want coffee? Anybody?
Great question today. Dear Pastor Bob, what would you say about a pastor that cusses when preaching, drinks whiskey, smokes cigars, and is also in a secular rock band? His attitude is, if it isn't boldly in the Bible, then it's not a sin. Well, that's a different perspective. This came from one of our comments, actually, from, I think, our last podcast. And I appreciate the comment. I thought it'd be a good question. And, you know, pastors are really called to a higher standard. We really have that. When you become a pastor, you become a shepherd. You become someone who takes care of the flock. It's not so much what you tell them, it's who you are to them. And people learn by example, mostly. There's a scripture I want to go to today right off the bat. 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 11. And it says, "But as for you, O man of God, flee from all these things. Aim at and pursue righteousness, a right standing with God, true godliness, which is the fear of God and being Christ-like, faith, love, steadfastness, patience, gentleness of heart." Do you see the kind of life that a pastor is supposed to have? All these things are important. But he says flee. That word means run away as fast as you can. Get rid of all that stuff. You, man of God, flee from these things and pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, gentleness, all those things that are part of Christ in you. Now, are you going to hell for smoking? And I always tell people, no, you just smell like you've been there. Yeah. Or drinking. A lot of people drink, not to get drunk, but just socially. If you're into that, that's fine. I'm not personally. Cussing, there's never a reason for it. And if you're saying it's not in the Bible, it is. God tells us to watch our mouths. Yeah. Especially through the book of James. Playing in a secular rock band, I couldn't do it. My ministry, this burning desire that I have inside of me to present the gospel is way too strong. Could never do it. I just see that there are a lot of different kinds of people who are called to a lot of different kinds of ministry. There are people that you could ask this question of. What do you think of a pastor who has tattoos and earrings and long hair and long beard? What do you think of that kind of pastor? And they'd say, he needs to get saved. So I understand that we're kind of on thin ice with some things, but I think your actions show more than anything. And the very fruit of the Spirit is so important. And can I just say, folks, that it's not how much I can get away with and still be a Christian. It's my pursuit of holiness. I don't see how far I can get to the edge without falling off. I see how far away from the edge I can get. And that's the difference, especially for a pastor. Your heart ought to be not what can I get away with, but how can I serve the Lord? How can I be a better Christian? How can I listen more intensely to Him? Well, the pastor that says, well, I'm just trying to make church more approachable for people. The people that come to my church cuss and they drink and they smoke, and, it's kind of a place where they can feel at home. The Bible never calls us to compromise, never. Not in those things. And if you think that anybody becomes a Christian because you make them feel good about their drinking or smoking or whatever it is, it never happens. It's not about that. It's about the heart. It's about what goes on inside. And a pastor really is held to that standard. But even more than that, it's a pastor's heart to want to be all things to all people, that they might win a few, but to present the gospel of Jesus Christ through his life. That's important. Thanks again, folks, for joining me today. Don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.